You feel safer in open spaces. Most people do. Wide fields, clear skies, nothing hiding anywhere. It feels like safety. In the ancient world, it was the opposite. And if you can name one reason why open space was dangerous before I explain it, drop a comment and subscribe right now. Because your instincts are still ancient, open ground in the prehistoric world was not safety. It was exposure. And exposure in a world built around predators and rival groups was one of the most dangerous conditions a human could be in. The first reason was sight lines. In a forest, in rocky terrain, in dense vegetation, you had cover. You could approach unseen. You could stop and assess before committing to a direction. You could retreat without being followed effectively in open ground. None of those options existed. You were visible from every direction simultaneously. A predator operating at the edges of the open space could see you long before you could see it. A rival human group on higher ground could observe your movements, your numbers, your direction of travel before you were aware of their presence. In the ancient world, being seen first was almost always a disadvantage. Open ground guaranteed it. The second reason was the ambush problem. Open spaces are not actually open on every side. They have edges. And the edges of open spaces are where predators wait. A pride of lions does not chase prey across open ground for kilometers. It positions itself at the edge of cover, near the boundary of open terrain, and waits for prey to cross the exposed zone. The crossing animal has maximum exposure and minimum cover. The lions have cover and concealment until the last possible moment. Ancient humans crossing open ground were in the same position as any prey animal crossing that terrain, maximum visibility, minimum escape options. The crossing shown as the moment of highest vulnerability, not lowest. The third reason was energy and retreat. Running across open ground is exhausting. The same distance covered in forest or rocky terrain gives you cover, obstacles behind which to hide, multiple possible routes, terrain features that limit a pursuer's options. In open ground, a pursuit is a straightforward race. And in a straightforward race, the faster animal wins. Ancient humans were not the fastest animals in their landscape. They were extraordinarily good at sustained pursuit over long distances. But in a short sprint across open ground against a large predator, the predator had an overwhelming advantage. The escape options that rocky or forested terrain provided simply did not exist in the open. The fourth reason was the wind problem. In open terrain, the wind moves more freely and more predictably, and wind carried scent. A human group crossing open ground in a consistent wind direction was broadcasting its presence, its numbers, and its direction of travel to every predator and rival group downwind for a significant distance. In covered terrain, the wind was interrupted, redirected, broken by vegetation and topography. The scent dispersed in multiple directions. The signal was weaker and harder to localize. In open ground, it was a clean, strong, directional signal. Here is a group. This is how many they are moving in this direction. Ancient humans understood this not through chemistry, but through experience. They knew that certain movements through certain terrain produced contact, and they learned to manage that exposure through route selection, timing, and speed of crossing. The fifth reason was shelter and temperature. Open ground provides no shade, no windbreak, no thermal cover. In hot climates, sustained movement across open terrain risked heat, related illness in a world with no treatment for it. In cold climates, wind across open ground accelerated heat loss in ways that forest or rocky terrain did not. The habitable range of temperature for a human body in the ancient world without manufactured shelter was narrower than most people appreciate, and open ground pushed against that range from every direction. So how did ancient humans deal with open ground when they had to cross it? The edge. not the open center. The edge of the open space, where it met forest or rock or vegetation, was consistently the preferred travel zone. You had the sightlines of open ground to one side. You had the cover option of forest or terrain on the other. You could see across the open space. You could retreat into cover quickly if needed. The edge was not timid avoidance of the open. It was intelligent use of both environments simultaneously. The preference for edges over open centers appears consistently in the behavior of prey animals across dozens of species. Deer do not graze in the center of fields. They graze at the field edge. They have cover available while maintaining sightlines across the open. This is not learned behavior in deer. It is the biological output of millions of years of selection pressure toward behaviors that keep prey animals alive. Ancient humans showed the same preference. The edge, not the open. The covered route, not the exposed one. The elevated position with cover behind, not the flat ground with nothing in any direction. These were not preferences. They were survival calculations, repeated across every group in every landscape until they became behavioral defaults as automatic as breathing. This is why so many people today feel a specific low-level discomfort in large open spaces. Not agoraphobia in the clinical sense. Something older and more fundamental, the background awareness that out here, you can be seen from every direction, that there is no cover immediately available, that whatever is watching has a better view of you than you have of it. That is not anxiety. That is the ancient edge preference, the body's survival calculation, still running in a world where the open field no longer hides a pride of lions. But the system does not know that. It is still calculating exposure, still recommending the edge, still producing that faint preference for a seat against the wall rather than the center of the room. The wall at your back, the doorway visible, the open space in front of you, not behind. The ancient landscape of risk, still shaping where you want to stand. Drop a comment and tell me, do you prefer your back to the wall, or does it not matter to you? And subscribe, because next time, the ground beneath your feet is going to tell you something even stranger.